And so the surface mined oil sands technology is basically taking this material, adding water to it, and extracting the bitumen. And I've got some interesting examples here. If we have 500 grams of oil sands, this amount of oil sands, we add a lot of water to it, 2 volumes of water per volume of oil sand, and we extract the bitumen. This is a bitumen extract. So I'll show you what that is like. And some of the technological challenges. This is a very, very viscous oil. So to turn this into something that looks like synthetic crude, we have to remove carbon and we have to add hydrogen. But if you look closely, you'll see this isn't a pure product. This is only a bitumen concentrate. It still has sand. And if you take a look at this sand, if you see this dry, it looks like beach sand. It looks like bitumen of the hydrocarbon from this sand during the extraction process. So we're left with this wet sand. The interesting minerals are actually in this material. So this resource for Canada, and they're all concentrated in small volume of material. If you imagine the mineral here is even smaller. Would represent used. I know I talked to one environmental group who were talking about heavy minerals. And heavy minerals, these valuable compounds, titanium dioxide are not heavy metals, they don't have an environmental consequence. So in this component.
In other words,
that's the approximate ratio. And a typical oil sands production would be a wet clay component. All of this water is recycled, about 75 to 80%. So if we were to wait 5 or 10 years, this clay component would shrink even further. And all of that water goes to recycle. But this clay is a very, very weak material. It portions a lot of recycled water. Tailings, that mud collects here. The water goes back to the extraction process. So the best available technology. The best available technology at the time was to take that area, cap it with water, and create an artificial lake. So available technology. From my perspective, and pond contains between 90 and 120 million cubic meters of that mud, like that. But this tailings pond was supposed to contain all of that mud for the 50. As a matter of fact, the water consumption in surface mined oil sands is relatively minor compared to other oil industries, and in fact secondary or tertiary oil recovery would use more water. The thing about water consumption, especially in Canada, Canadians are very passionate about their water, and even the 3 to 5 barrels of water per barrel of bitumen production in surface mined oil sands, although that represents a very small fraction of the available water in the Athabasca River, less than 1%, we still feel we can do better, and in fact there's lots of technologies in place, things that will be commercialized very shortly, that will cut that number in half. It's certainly a matter of concern, and we're working on that. The idea that there might be volumes of water leaching into the environment is of concern, but there are 2 things to consider. One is the volume of water. More importantly is the quality of that water. And the data that we have suggests that the quality of that water is relatively benign to the environment, but still more data needs to be collected. One of the focuses of our research, and this is where tailings technology ties in completely with water technology. If we can do something about the fluid fine tails to make them reclaimable so that we can reclaim the boreal forest on the fluid fine tails, at the same time that will be conserving water. Now, it's a complex issue, water and tailings management. There are other tailings technologies, and of course at the end of the day, what gets implemented in the industry will not be a single technology, but probably a suite of technologies, a variety of technologies. What our research program is all about is minimizing that impact on the environment. You can't have any industrial development without some impact. The key is that impact acceptable? And certainly the data so far suggests that the impact of surface mined oil sands on the environment is relatively small, but again, we're working hard to make it even smaller.
Okay, I guess the term dirty oil is actually coming a lot from what you can see, from satellites in terms of the production of the oil. In reality, the production is just one part. I mean, with all oil, you've got to get it out of the ground. You have to do some kind of processing in order to get it to the meet fuel specifications for the engines of the vehicles that are going to be using it. So in the end, the engines are developed with very fine codes, say in terms of sulfur content, in terms of types of molecules. Really, for gasoline, it's octane being 8 carbon chains is sort of the ideal. For diesel, it's cetane, which is 16 carbon chains is the ideal. And so wherever the fuel is coming from, whether it's from an oil sands, from conventional petroleum, from bio sources, they should be meeting those fuel specs in order to have clean burning engines.
Yeah.
Well, why is there this motion left that has to be recycled or clean?
Excellent point, and we do try to look for other technologies, I was talking about during the process, once they take that water and send it to us. For example, I'll speak to the surface mine. The reason I'm interested there is that the magnetic acid zone R, and anytime you inject water, there's potential the water could end up somewhere. No, I don't. I don't get water underground. I have very standard programs that do that, but they're based on knowledge of what is material. That's an issue, yes. Alberta Geological Survey.
This is my example of what Randy was doing earlier. You saw some.
Currently commercially available catalysts do not perform as well with bitumen.
And again, it's all about trying to get that efficiency there that's not there now, and more efficiency again.